This is a recap for The Bold and the Beautiful, Wednesday, September the 9th, 2015. And it starts with Steffy is already not holding true to the promise that she made to Lim with Wyatt and Ivy, because she's sharing with Caroline and Thomas that Wyatt talked Ivy into deleting the video. And then she even shares that they made a promise not to never bring the video up again, but yet here she is telling Caroline and Thomas about it. So that little situation is not going to never die, and guarantee you something else is going to come up about it. So Ridge walks in, and Steffy tells him that the investigation into Allie's death is over. So he's glad to hear the news and everything, but then he says he has some good news to share himself. And then he goes in about him and Caroline being engaged. So Steffy congratulates them. I don't think she's too happy about it, but then Caroline leaves the room. Ridge asks Steffy to tell him the truth about how she really feels about the engagement. So she says that she's fine with it, whatever makes them happy. So Ridge goes on to say that he and Caroline are going to start a family. So not only is he going to marry her, but they're going to have a baby together. So he begins to share why he changed his mind about having a baby with Caroline. All the while, Thomas is having these thoughts about the night that him and Caroline had. And I guarantee you that little situation with Caroline and Thomas is going to meet the light of day too. So Steffy asks Ridge, has he really seriously thought about what it is that he's planning to do with Caroline? Has he really taken into consideration marrying her and having a baby with her and kind of starting this whole thing over? And Ridge says, well, he loves her and he doesn't want her to leave him again. So the best thing to do is to just go ahead and marry her and have a baby, because that's what he wants to do. So Thomas tells Steffy that he only wants the best for the both of them. He just wants them to be happy. So if that means him marrying Caroline and having a baby with her, then so be it. He's fine with it either way it goes, but he's really not. We know better than that. So once Thomas and Steffy are alone, Steffy asks Thomas about Caroline. So Thomas goes into how Ridge made him a part of the design team. So Steffy's thing is, oh, okay, well, that's why you're supporting this whole decision, because he made you part of the design team. And for some reason, Steffy is not buying it. She knows that there's something going on with Thomas and Caroline. She just can't put her finger on it. So she's knowing something is going on. So she's not buying this whole little deal. You want them to be happy and yay. She knows better than that. And then Caroline invites Bill and Katie over so that she can share some good news with them. And when they get there, she immediately begins to show them her engagement ring. So in excitement, Katie says, oh my God, you're engaged? And Brooke is there too. So Brooke kind of drops her little 2 cents by saying that marriage can be a really stressful and hard union, between two people. It's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a picnic. It's really a hard thing. And Bill says, not for Ridge. And then Caroline insists that she and Ridge are ready for whatever it takes to be together and to make their marriage successful, and they're committed to each other. So whatever it is that they have to do, she's just looking at this whole thing just giddy. I don't think Caroline really sees the reality in what's going on here. So Brooke begins to tell Caroline the pros and cons about having a family. And then I think Brooke is a little jealous too, because then she's thinking, here it is, this young girl, and then you have Ridge, who's an older man, and at some point Ridge told Brooke that he got a vasectomy and he's never really been good in relationships and all this other kind of stuff. But here it is, you got this little young girl, you want to reverse your vasectomy, you want to marry her, you want to have a baby with her, you want to do everything that you should have been doing previously. So you should still be married to your previous wife. But and I think Brooke is just a little jealous, so she's always kind of dropping some poop bombs here and there. So she's trying to tell Caroline the pros and cons, about having a family. It's not easy. So Bill jokingly says that Caroline is going to have to push Ridge in a wheelchair to her high school graduation. And of course Caroline gets offended, and then Katie and Brooke go on and on about Ridge not wanting more children. And, how could he possibly, or what made him, change his mind? Well, all of a sudden, does he want to have another family? He wants to have more children. He wants to get remarried. And then Caroline kind of firmly says that, he changed his mind. We're going to have a family. And then Brooke just says, okay, well, I wish you all the best. And then she goes back to work. But she really doesn't go back to work. She goes and finds Ridge. And when she goes and finds Ridge, she kind of drills him about his decision to marry and have a baby with Caroline. And then she brings it up about his vasectomy, but not before asking him if he's out of his mind. It's like, are you really considering doing this all over again at your age? This young girl, marrying her and having a baby. She asked him about the time that he told her about his vasectomy, and he says, well, I'm going to go ahead and reverse it because I want to have a baby with Caroline. So Brooke scolds him and tells him that he's making a really big mistake, and she knows that what it is that he's doing is going to end in a really bad disaster. So Caroline walks in while Brooke is telling Ridge all these things, and she's telling him that you need to tell Caroline about your vasectomy. So Caroline said, well, what's going on? What's going on? And then Brooke tells Ridge, well, you need to tell her. You need to tell her about what's going on, and if you don't tell her, I'm going to tell her. I don't think Caroline and Ridge are going to end up together. I really think it's going to end up being Thomas and Caroline. And I say that because there are so many forces working against Caroline and Ridge, and it's not really what Ridge wants to do. Ridge is basically doing this with Caroline to pacify her, to kind of keep her there, keep her around, because you can easily give somebody a ring and that'll keep them there, but guarantee is going to always be something to put the situation off where they're not going to have a baby, and then Caroline is going to more than likely get frustrated in the relationship, and then she's going to go running off to Thomas. And Thomas is going to more than likely welcome her with open arms. But that is the Bold and the Beautiful recap for Wednesday, September the 9th, 2015. Like the video if you like it, comment if you have a comment, be sure to subscribe for more recaps, reviews, and spoilers. Darlene Knight, your reality and soap chat. Thanks for watching.